So hi guys, what date is today so that we later know? It's today, Wednesday, October 27. Thank you for being on. And I wanted to share a couple of things that we've learned since last time. So Jack and I don't know if Maxi yet has been, have been partaking in the annual conference of the Direct Selling Association, where they were talking also about the pandemic and how the pandemic has influenced network marketing. And what we have learned, and it was very interesting because Roger is the one who led that convention, because he is in charge of the Direct Selling Association, or not in charge, but right now he's in a leadership position there. And he also led one of the panels on how COVID has affected the direct selling network marketing industry. And what we have learned, and Jack, feel free to add to that whenever you're ready, is we have learned that, of course, network marketing has had many challenges throughout the pandemic, a lot of them, especially in logistics. So how to get the products, the raw materials and all those kind of things has caused a lot of delays for many of the companies. And there were leaders from corporate people from many different network marketing companies. So there was, what was there? There was Shackley, of course, that was there. Nu Skin was there, and many
Amway,
Amway.
Herbalife.
Yes, so many different company representatives there that shared their challenges and what they have noticed and observed, and what they feel where network marketing is going to in the future. So one of the things that everybody agreed upon was that the online presence is going to continue to be very important. And that because of the threat of COVID still being in many countries, that also meetings might happen online or virtually in many instances. And that because of that, the companies are looking how to make it easier for us as distributors to function on a virtual level. So they are giving us supportive tools to do that. And that's what many of them are working towards. Now, they also mentioned that since the pandemic, they have seen an enormous interest in network marketing as an opportunity. So they have had a lot more distributors join and still are joining because they are looking for a little bit of extra income. And they say that especially right now, the idea of people being able to work from home has been very well received from those that want to start with network marketing. So many that have not done network marketing beforehand are now looking at this opportunity as a great opportunity and business for them to get into. At the same time, of course, a lot of people are re-evaluating who they have aligned themselves with. So those that are already in network marketing are also rethinking their decisions. Are they aligned with a company whose values and products are still very valid in today's times? And also a company that supports them in this kind of situation the way they need to be supported. So is that company easy to share from your phone? Is it easy to do it over the computer? Are there enough tools that the company is giving and bringing to the table? So those are all things that I took away from the Direct Selling Association recordings. Jack, was there anything else that you would like to add?
Yeah, I think the other thing that was pretty interesting, they showed that even though when you had an amount of unemployment going on, that they had like you said before, an increase of those who were into network marketing, and they were also talking about the younger ones especially, and I'll say younger, it could be anybody from 40 below, so I won't say anything specifically, but they said the one thing that a lot of people are now looking for is that flexibility of working from home. That was stressed a whole lot, that people, that's what they're looking for, because they're taking, a lot of them are taking pay cuts just to have that ability to work from home, to be with their family and stuff. And they said that there was a huge amount of women that are doing that. So that was right behind what the whole philosophy of Shakti has been about from the very beginning, with women being the ones who they were really targeting more than anything else. The other thing they mentioned, that there is a continuum growth of health needs in the future from what they're seeing. And they say that they do not expect that to decrease anywhere over the next 5 to 10 years. And that was one thing that Roger had said specifically, was that when he was looking for a business, he was looking for something that was going to have continued growth. And he says, and Shakti is right in that area right now of continued growth. And that was the things that came out and stuck me in the eye, you might say. And I listened very carefully on.
Awesome. Thank you so much for adding, Jack. So those are things that we wanted to share from the Direct Selling Association convention that we think might be helpful as we talk about Shakti with our friends or online, to keep in mind that people are looking for that, so that we can tell them, because I know Jack has talked to a couple of people this week and they weren't even aware of Shakti being a business opportunity. And they were like, oh, wow, really? Shakti offers that? Let's talk. So we may think that people know that Shakti can be done by anybody that is interested in that opportunity, but people don't necessarily perceive that. So that is one thing. And because we are looking at connecting with people online and in person, just a quick word to that before Maxi gets started here. So obviously, when we can connect to somebody in person, it's still going to be our number one choice when that is possible. So if we meet people anyhow in person, that is still the best way to connect, because we feel a lot closer to people when we're with them directly and they can feel our energy. Now, next after that, of course, if that is not possible, and in many cases that may not be the case because people may not feel comfortable, or they may be in a different location than us and we may not be able to travel to them. We may see them normally on a weekly basis at a convention or whatever, but this time those aren't happening. Then the next best thing, of course, would be like on a Zoom call like this. And for those of you who don't know, Zoom also is, excuse me, can be free of charge. So it can be used without a subscription. And that's the next best thing, so that we can see and talk to one another as if we were sitting across from one another. Now, the next thing, of course, would be a phone call. And then after that, we reach people by with our posting. And to keep in mind with that is also that it's not an instant connection when we do post about things. So I have been posting regularly, and now even more regularly than before. And it's not that people come and say, I want to sign up, I want to sign up, but it starts conversations. It does start people asking, so what do you do, or do you want to meet? And then when you meet with them, they then ask questions about what you do. So just important for us to keep our expectations in a way that they are real. And because we're looking at growing our influence also online, I was going to ask that everybody please go take a quick minute and go to their Instagram and Facebook account and write down in the chat how many followers they have on Instagram and how many Facebook friends they have on Facebook. And what I want to urge us to do, and Maxi will have things talk a whole lot about that in detail, is that every Wednesday when we're here, that we report those numbers back, because if we will talk to the same people online all the time, that's not going to get us very far, and then we're not affecting a whole lot of people. So for the month of November, I will be focusing on very much growing my audience and thinking about who I know that I have not yet connected. And I'm already working on that, have been working on that, and I will report back too. And then I will also give a prize at the end of November to the person who has grown their audience the most. Now, that does not mean the person who has the most followers or the person that has the most friends, but the person who has added the most. So actually, the ones who haven't added that many yet have an advantage, because you still have a lot that you can ask, follow, or be friends with. So those of us who have done that already all along have a little bit of a disadvantage, but I think it's great. So that way we're all accountable to one another. I will put mine into the chat too. Okay, so let's see. Thank you, Maxi, for already putting yours in. And Jack, we can't hear you. And if you already have put that in, then I encourage you to also write it down so that you can keep me in check and also keep an eye on the progress that you're making. Oh, Jack didn't, I think he has an Instagram too. So we'll wait when he comes back. Awesome, Martina. Martina, would you also add your Instagram?
Yeah, I have to get my phone, so.
Oh, yeah, sure, go for it. Jack, your Instagram?
Um,
I'm trying to get into that.
Yeah.
Let me go tell Benny he's got to get ready for piano.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm really curious where we'll be at the end of November with our numbers. And then at the end of December.
It's going to be, I don't know if people want to like set goals for themselves as well, but I know that for me, at least in Instagram, I definitely want to grow to over 1,000. And
oh, wow, that's ambitious. Good for you.
Well, I mean, it's 225 extra followers. It should be doable.
Yes, but to me, with my little 415 followers, 1,000 sounds like a lot. So great. Good for you. Thank you, Martina. Okay. Because I'm sure we all know, I'm sure I know more than 415 people that I have on Instagram. And I'm pretty sure Martina probably knows more than 125 people too in real life. So I think we just all still have some that we haven't thought of and that we can reach out to and follow. So thank you for putting that in. And then there will be a gift at the end of November. So Maxi, thank you so much for doing today's talk. Go ahead, it's all yours. And I know I need to make you, no, I don't need to make
No, I
you.
meant it's not all mine right now because I can't share my screen.
I was gonna say, I need to make you a co-host. Jack, thank you for putting that in.
Not a problem.
Okay, let's do this. Okay, dokes. So today we're going to be talking about sampling. And this is really important. So, I mean, all of our coffee chats are important, but this is really important. But before we get into samples, and this is sort of related in a way, I want to recap from the last 2 times. So really what is important with social media is consistency. So posting frequently, making sure that people understand that they can rely on you posting content and that you won't disappear after a bit and be gone for weeks on end without posting anything. That's really important. And to not get discouraged if in the beginning people don't interact much with you, because it takes time to build up that trust for them to come and keep on visiting your posts as well as your page and interacting with that. Another really thing that Mom talked about was to keep in mind and set the expectations correctly for social media. Now, social media is not going to be the thing where you post once and then you have 5 people who say, oh, I want to join your team. That's not how it works. It's not realistic. However, what social media is good for is it's great at generating leads. So what I mean by that is that instead of having like 5 or 10 people interested in it at once, you often find that you over time find 1 or 2 people who are interested in something. And you know, usually the way backtracking. What I mean by that, and using myself as an example, I posted recently some recipes on my Instagram. Now on my stories, I had a few people reach out to me and say that they were interested in the recipe who were not part of Shaklee. And so I sent them the recipe and they were interested in samples to make the recipe. Now, another post that I had done a week prior, I asked if anybody was interested in our new seasonal life shake. And I did have 1 person who was interested. This week I posted about our 3-week challenge and I had somebody who said that they were interested in more information there. So these aren't sales per se, but they are leads. So people that are interested to some degree, whether it is for information or samples, and it's better than nothing, right? So that's how you slowly over time build a large list of people who are interested in what you have to offer and potentially turn into customers. So that's really important to keep in mind that this is a slow and steady kind of thing and not a quickly you get a ton of interest right away. So it does take time. Now, also equally important to remember is that it's so important to have different approaches. So yes, social media is important. However, like Mom mentioned, in person is going to be even more important. You don't want to stick with just one thing. As we saw with the pandemic, if we just rely on in person and that gets taken away from us, then it's like, okay, what do we do now? Similar with social media. When WhatsApp and Instagram and Facebook all went down, then people were like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get in touch with my people? How am I going to post? How am I going to generate interest? And then, people panic about that. So really in an ideal case scenario, you'll want to have different approaches so that you have a more holistic approach overall. And that's especially important because all of these things will not grow similarly at the same time. So you're not automatically going to have a ton of interest on social media in person and however else you through networking, for example. That's not how it works. Like I said, it takes time with social media. So that may be a slow build. You may be getting 1 or 2 people every once in a while there. Then you talk to people in person and you get a few people right away, but then it's not always steady. So sometimes then, you know, you'll have a social media person in between that comes in to sort of fill that need for, you know, clients and things like that, and so on and so forth. So really, we want to help as many people as possible. And realistically, there's some people who don't have social media. There's some people who do. And in order to really reach as many people as possible, that's why it's so important to have different approaches. Okay, now let's moving on to samples. So why giving samples so important? Sampling is so important because it's such an easy, low-key, and fun way to introduce people to Shaklee. Now, whether they're skeptical about the products or they have experience with other brands, they've used other brands before, they're kind of thinking about switching over to a different brand, but they're not really sure. Or if they just, you know, they like the idea of doing, for example, the Prove It Challenge, but aren't ready to commit to it yet. Something like giving them a sample to try can take them from a maybe to a yes. So this is really, really important. Plus, what I have found is that it is so much more pleasant as a person as a business person, as well as for the prospect or the interested person. If you give a sample to them and they then fall in love with the product before purchasing it and get really excited, the whole process is going to be so much more fun and pleasurable for both parties involved than if you say, hey, this is what I recommend. And they're like, okay, I don't really know if it works. I doubt it works, but I'll give it a shot. You know, that versus you give them a sample and then they're like, oh my gosh, I love this protein. This is the best thing that I have ever tasted. I mixed it with this, this, and this, and it tasted so creamy and so delicious. How can I get this? 2 very different experiences, both for you and the other person. And it's going to be, and I personally, I assume you feel the same way, prefer having the second option where the person is super excited and is completely all in versus somebody who's sort of dipping the toe in their water because they haven't had that positive experience yet. It also helps if you give somebody a sample and it helps warm them up to the idea of Shaklee. So here are some different ways you can give samples, or what kind of samples we have as options. So they're the ready-made samples by Shaklee. So the triple defense boost, for example, the protein shake samples, or you know, the things that are individually wrapped. So for example, the bars, the energizing tea, things like that. Then we have the cleaning caddies and the skincare sets. So these are more like sample experiences, so they can experience it for a week at a time and see how that goes for them. And then there are, of course, the DIY samples. So these are things like, for example, that we have to put together ourselves. So if somebody wants to sample the supplements or something like that, or the shampoo, then we, you know, have to create samples for them so that they can experience it. But anything that we have, we can pretty much give them a sample of. So that's something important to keep in mind. And samples are great, especially also for people who are living further away from you. And also people who may not know, like, and trust you to the same extent as a friend, where, you know, sometimes you have those friends that they know you understand them and you know them so well that whatever you like, they'll like. Or if you say, hey, you should try this, I know you'll like it, they'll just be like, okay, totally get that. I trust you. And, you know, let's do it. Most people are probably not going to have that kind of relationship with you. So if they don't, then, you know, you're building trust by giving them a sample and allowing them to experience it. And it's honestly the least pushy thing that you can do. So if you sometimes feel uncomfortable about talking about the business or the products, this is a great way to not be salesy. So here's what the sampling process can look like. So you have a conversation with somebody, they're interested in samples, you offer them samples. You then ideally would send them over to, depending who you're under, so to mom and dad or to me. And then you would basically connect the two of us, or once again, you and your upline with the person so that we can get them samples that they're looking for. And this is the reason why we do that, is so that you can save money and time, because it is a financial investment in between either the gas money if we drop off the samples in person, or the postage, and then of course the money for the actual samples itself. And then of course it's a time investment, and we understand that people are also short on time. So if you are looking to grow a business, that means that you can invest your time in finding people, and mainly focusing on that is generating interest. And we'll take care of the more financial part of things when it comes to giving them samples and making sure that they're well taken care of in that regard. And then following up. So we will also follow up with them and keep you in the loop, letting you know, that they liked it or that they didn't like it. And then obviously you'll see when they order or should they not order. So here are some ways to increase that interest in samples. So one of the ways is to do social media posts. So something that we've noticed is that recipes go exceptionally well. So if you fix a recipe of a smoothie, or let's say you make protein pancakes or protein waffles, whatever, you post a picture, you can either post it in your stories or in your timeline. And then you can say, oh my gosh, this was the best thing ever. This is my strawberry cheesecake smoothie. I will post the rest. No, then I would say something like along the lines of who wants the recipe. And then when people comment that they want the recipe, then I would message them each individually with the recipe. And something that I do is I often type it out in my notes and then just take a screenshot and send it off. It makes it easier. And then I'll ask them I'll say that this recipe uses Shaklee's protein. I don't know how it is with others. Would you be interested in having a sample of it so that you can fix this recipe? And then you have a way to give a sample, and they can experience Shaklee free of charge, and do it that way. You could also have a contest on your Facebook or Instagram page and say, I have, like in the name of candy and Halloween, you could have a jar with a bunch of candy corns, for example, and say, whoever can guess the closest to this will receive a small gift from me. And then you can basically give them a sample of some sort of product. Then also, whenever you have when you get invited over, or if somebody has a birthday, it's so helpful. This is not necessarily a sample, but it's giving them an experience without them having to pay for it. If you would feel the need to give a gift to somebody, it's so good to include Shaklee in that, because I know I've done this with a friend of mine. I gave her Shaklee protein because I thought that that would be helpful for her. I knew that she would not, she had a certain eating habit that, she was struggling with getting enough food in for the day. So I figured this might be good. And I gave her some protein samples that I had made, and she loved it so much that afterwards she continued buying it on her own, because she felt like it was helping her so much with that one problem that she had. Now, what's important to mention here is to make sure that it fits to that person, and that they understand that it is because you really care about them, and that it's a thoughtful gesture and not one to increase sales. People want to feel that you care for them and that you put thought into these things, and that's one way to do that. Now, Shaklee also has a Shaklee Share app. So, oh, there's a typo. I don't like that. Okay. So with a Shaklee Share app, there are many benefits to using it. So for example, they have a Shaklee sample website template. So basically you can send a link to people, they can pay for the shipping, and the samples will be sent directly to them. On the other hand, you can also have somebody request a sample by inputting their information, and you can then send them a sample. Of course, that means that you will be covering the cost of that sample in that scenario. In the first scenario where you have a link that they can go to, they are paying for the shipping. So that's not something that you're paying. Last but not least, they do have a lot of social media posts on that app that you can use in order to create interest in samples. Now, what's really important with that is that you don't just stick with the social media posts that they have created, but that you put your own spin to it. So write a few words that you add to that post, or in your stories, or, you know, add some like little icons on top of that picture that are moving, that create more personality. Put a poll on there that people can vote on something. So those are ways to make it unique and your own and still engaging, because, you know, sometimes people know several people in the same network marketing company. And if they then see the same posts all over, then it gets boring. And you don't want to be boring, and you don't want it to also look stiff. You want people to see that you're still a person and that you treat other people like people. So something to keep in mind is keep your the current promos in mind. So for example, if we just launched the pumpkin spice protein powder, then make sure to gear your sample posts around the pumpkin spice. Or if you know that we have a promotion going on in terms of, I don't know, the Prove It Challenge or the skincare set, make sure that you keep those sample posts around those, because then you're really serving others, right? Now, something else to keep in mind is to reach out to those who may benefit. So this is especially relevant, for example, when we have new products come out, right? So let's say with the Sustained Energy Boost, we have the Sustained Energy Boost. We just released it. Maybe you had somebody who kept complaining to you how tired they were all the time and how they wish they had an extra little bit of energy. This is the perfect time to reach out to them and say, hey, I know you told me about this problem you have, that you're constantly lacking energy. I don't know if this is for you, but we just launched you know, Sustained Energy Boost product. Would you be interested in trying it? I am more than happy to send you a sample completely free, and go from there. But really emphasize that you're thinking about them and offering value to them. And that is it. That is all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
No, that was good.
Yeah, I think what I wanted to add, since I hadn't seen the presentation beforehand, when you were talking about samples, I thought it was really good what all you mentioned, and also that when we're giving samples to people, I think it really has them appreciate us because they are basically getting a gift from us. And if we keep in mind what you were just sharing in the end, that we really keep them in mind, not who all can I now give this and this sample, but that we make them understand, oh, I had to think of our conversation yesterday. You mentioned you haven't slept in a week. You know, we just came out with this new product. I'm not sure if it would be helpful to you, but if you think you would like to try it, I'll be happy to gift you some samples. If we do it like this, we are giving the gift of Shaklee, which is really what we're looking at, right? So that even if a person walks away and not making a decision, that they are left with a very positive impression. So they may walk away and say, oh, that Dream Serene really wasn't for me, but how nice of Jack that he let me try that. And then next time they have a different need, they are more than willing to open up again to Jack and tell him about the other problems they have, and they will already have a positive picture of Shaklee and the people who represent Shaklee. And that's what we want them to do, right? Is walk away from us thinking, what a nice person. I appreciated them thinking of me.
Something to keep in mind as well, and this I didn't mention, was that if you show that you're a generous person and a caring person, then they are also more likely to recommend and refer other people to you. I have had it happen before that I gave very generous samples to a person, and because they felt honored and they were very grateful for that, and it made it a very positive experience for them, they ended up referring a ton of people to me because they knew that I would take care of their people, that I would be giving them samples, that I would not be pushing them for a sale, but that I would allow them to have that experience and figure out for themselves if they want it or not. They felt comfortable then to refer other people to me. And that is, I think, the biggest compliment you can ever get as a business person is somebody else saying, I am sending people to you because I know you'll take good care of them. So if your goal is to build a business because you want to make a large impact on the world, then it is helpful to also make a sub goal to give as many samples as you could in the most genuine way possible. So not give samples just to give samples, but to give samples in a way that serves others and that others are also asking you for. So just finding the people who are open to that and who are looking for it.
That's awesome. Yes, I agree. When we want to make an impact, then we can help by adding value to those people. And on a practical from a practical point of view, as business owners, let's keep in mind that those samples are all tax deductible. So when you open a pack of Triple Defense Boost, when you open a pack of pomegranate tea, whatever it is that you're opening, the moment you're opening it, and you're giving one away as a sample, you can deduct that whole box because you wouldn't be able to sell it anymore to anybody else. So keep a list of what you're giving out because it is a very legitimate expense. Practically every business does that. And it makes us actually, in the eyes of the IRS, legit because we're actually doing the work that they expect us to do. And I know Martina asked via text the other day about the sharing, I think the sharing Shaklee app, Martina, right? I wanted to talk about that and also see what, I had some ideas I wanted to share, but also wanted to know what exactly would be most helpful to you.
I think for me, it would be most helpful to, the actually how to, because sometimes I try to take something from there and it just doesn't work. And I cannot figure out why it doesn't work. Especially because, if you want to, write something from whatever you want to write, bring your own into there, then I don't know, I haven't figured that out, and it would just really be helpful for me to know how actually to use it.
That's awesome. And another little, excuse me, a little hint that I think is helpful is that if you want to post about Shaklee on your personal page, whether it is the opportunity or whether it is about product or on your stories, is to create a little folder either in your photos on your phone and maybe both, and also on your computer. And when you see somebody that has a post that you like, where you think like, oh, they did a good job explaining that, take a screenshot, save it to that folder as an idea for later on. There is nothing wrong with us copying others. Actually, corporate encourages us to do so until we learn to find our own voice. Or if you think, oh, that person did the stories in a really good order, they are leading the person through the process of why this product is so helpful, take screenshots of all the stories and then recreate it yourself. And the way I do it, Martina, and I'm certainly not professional with this is, bless you, Maxi, is I go to the Shaklee Share app, I bring the image up that I want to post in stories or on my personal page or whatnot. I take a screenshot, I save it to my photos, and then I upload it from there. Did that make sense? And Maxi, if there's a better way, let us know. But that's what I do, and that has worked for me.
Okay, so if you're gonna do a screenshot, then how do you do a screenshot? On your phone, on that one specific item that you're talking about on Sharon Shackling?
On
On your phone, so if you have an iPhone, you can hold down the button, the round button in the middle, and then on the side, on the right-hand side, your power button. If you simultaneously click both of those, then you have a screenshot. Now, another option you can do if you're doing this in on Instagram.
Just 1 second, Maxi, to Jack. When you do that screenshot, Jack, you will have to cut it so that only the image that you want in your story will be displayed and not some other portion. And then save it to.
So it's similar to a screenshot on your computer. You will have to crop it.
Mhm.
Okay, so now when you're talking about cropping it,
So let me.
Martina is like, oh, I'm glad Jack's asking.
So,
Well, I know how to crop.
Oh,
I
good.
know that. I just have to figure out how to do a screenshot on my Android phone. I don't have an iPhone.
Okay.
So let's see this is a screenshot I took. Now, in order to crop it, you tap it, and then you have an edit button on the top right-hand corner. You edit, and then on the bottom, you have these 3 options, and you're going to click the one on the very far right. It has a little square, and then it'll give you the option. Nope, we don't want that. The option to do this. So that is what you can then do.
got it.
To do a screenshot, you can Google that on.
Yeah. I have done that before, but because I don't do it on a regular basis, I forget. So
But you will remember it once you do it all the time.
yeah.
In regards to Instagram, if you see any posts, and I don't mean stories, but I mean posts, and you like them and want to recreate something similar for yourself, or you know, just use that one, what you can do is you can save that post and then create your own folder to save it into on Instagram. So the way that works is if you go to Instagram, wait for mine to load. Let's say I want to recreate this post. Then you see on the very bottom right-hand corner, there's like this little bookmark icon. You click that and it'll automatically save it, and it gives you the option to save it to a collection. Now you can create that collection by going to your profile. Oh, I just gained a new follower, so I have to change my number. So then you go to your profile, and if you click on the top right-hand corner where there are those where there are those 3 lines here, you click that, and then it'll come up with this, correct? So then you're going to click saved, and at saved, you'll see you have I have all of these different folders. So I have one called recreate, I have one called audio, one called wish list, all of those things. So if you click on the right corner, upper hand corner here, you can create a collection and then add your saved items to that particular collection. So it's similar to how if you bookmark something on your computer, you can create different folders to bookmark things too. So like I know I've created a bookmark folder on my computer for a desk when I was looking for a desk and saved a bunch of links there. So similar to that, you can do the same thing with Instagram. So if you have things in terms of business that you want to save there, you can do that very easily there, but it only works for posts and not stories.
Yeah, and maybe what we want to do too, Maxi, is go to the chat and write down some people that we keep an eye on in Chatly, so that you guys will also know, because it's good to get ideas. Some people have done this now very extensively for quite a long time. So they do a fabulous job with their stories and everything else. So to get ideas or to save something that you can then see how you can personalize it for yourself, you can keep an eye out with these people. Yeah. And it goes both on Instagram and Facebook. So if you want to take down any names, go for it. Mhm.
I have a really probably stupid question for you guys.
No,
But so when I post something on Facebook and I want to post it on Instagram too, is there like an automatic setting on Facebook?
No, that's a great question. So the way it is currently set up is, I'm trying to straighten things out in my mind. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mom, but I believe it is that you can post automatically from your Instagram to your Facebook, but
yes.
not vice versa.
I don't know
Okay.
if it can be done vice versa, but I automatically post from Instagram to Facebook.
So what I typically do to save myself some time is I'll type something out into my notes section on my phone or onto a Google Docs on my phone, and I'll have the picture ready so that I can just copy and paste the main post, the message, into both Facebook and Instagram if I don't want to automatically post it from Instagram onto Facebook.
Yeah, I do that too sometimes. I copy my text and the pictures I have anyway, so then I
Right.
just paste the same text and then that
But I
works.
will say that not all content that you post on Facebook will necessarily do well on Instagram.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that's-
no, I'm selective of what I want to have on Instagram and what I post on Facebook. For me, Instagram is still a pretty new thing. I mean, new in terms of I haven't really posted so much there. So, but I need to, you know, get into gear with that as well.
because and I think Mom and I we talked about this, is that the thing with Instagram versus Facebook, and I touched on that last time, is that Facebook is like saying hello to an old friend, somebody that knows you really well. You don't have to dress up for them. You can dress cozy. You can kind of be, if you want, you're really close, you could be in your pajamas, things like that. Instagram, on the other hand, is like meeting somebody for the first time, going on that first date, going to that networking event. It's, you want to show, or going to a job interview, you want to show the best side of you because that other person doesn't know you. So it's going to be, not less personal, but it's going to be maybe more filtered, more aesthetically pleasing. You're going to maybe look at being more eloquent with your words. You're going to make the pictures look prettier, things like that, and showcase things from the best side possible, because Instagram is meant to connect with all people versus just the people that you know. That's something to keep in mind when you do post.
So that would have been my next question. It's an public Instagram is, I mean, you can choose the setting, but for us, it would be best to have anybody being able to connect with you. A
Yes, I find that that's
public face.
I have my Instagram set as, I think, a public figure, because as a public figure, you can see what your stats are. So you can see how many people are sharing your posts. You can see how many people save your posts, similar to how I'm saving other people's posts. I can see that if I have my Instagram set up as a public figure. I believe that is not the case if you are just like a regular user. So I find that helpful to know, because I know sometimes engagement happens in different ways, right? We talked about that. Either it's, posting your stuff, or like commenting on your stuff, liking your stuff, and things like that. However, one thing that you don't see automatically is how many times people are sending your posts to other people, or they're posting it in their stories, or they're saving it for later. And I find that incredibly helpful to know. So I know what kind of content is so valuable to somebody else that they want to save to read it later, or that they are sending it to share on their own Instagram stories.
That's very helpful. Are there any other questions, Martina?
Just briefly, like, where do you post this coffee talk videos?
We have not gotten around to it yet, but
okay.
But I wanted to show Mom how to do that today, and I think Mom may just post a reminder to everybody.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because this is so helpful, everything. It would be really helpful for other people as well. I mean, for me, it's very helpful.
Good. I'm glad.
I've never been able to post regularly, so right now I have posted a couple of weeks since we started.
Yeah. Awesome.
Every day something on Facebook, at least, starting out with. And so this is really helpful.
Yes. That makes sense. You want to focus on one versus starting with both at the same time, especially if you don't have a regular schedule. And something that I emphasize with people is you don't want to have to create posts to post. Like, you don't want to have to create moments in your life that are post worthy, because that's going to take time. You'll want to be posting things that are already happening, so that it only takes 2 or 3 minutes to post versus having to come up with something. Of course, the business related posts are going to look a little differently. Those will be more intentional, and those you will most likely create. But the in between personal posts, those should be happening naturally, should be a snapshot of your life.
Also, the engagement posts. I don't know, for example, things that I immediately think of for you, Martina, is having a function at school tomorrow. Which dress should I wear? Do you think the left one or the right one will be more appropriate? Or I'm going to do I'm thinking of doing an arts and crafts project with my class tomorrow. I can't decide which one the students might like better. These are the 2 things I have in mind. What do you think is cuter? Those kind of things, I think it's fun. Or I'm looking for a new pair of flip-flops. Anybody have any that you just love and that are so comfy that you can walk for miles in? I'm going on vacation next week, or things like that, because we want to help.
Say, I just picked up this vegetable at the market. Don't really know what to do with it. I always do the same thing every time. Would love to branch out. Hit me up with your suggestions.
Yeah. Send me the recipes, send me all your zucchini recipes and that kind of thing. So I think people will always love to share, because everybody wants to help one another out. And because we don't have that chance right now in person as much as we did before, a lot of that is happening online. So yeah, Go
So you're
ahead.
saying you're doing most of that on Facebook, on those things?
Those things would be Facebook, yes.
Okay.
That would be good.
Not business, but personal.
Yes.
So with business versus personal, that's a whole different discussion.
And we can talk about that at another session. I think that would be, so our business pages will, I'll take a note now that we will have another discussion on our business pages and maybe also on the Google business page, because we have been getting business through the Google page, and it is free and open to everyone. And as Maxi said earlier, it is best to be present in many different areas of your life, because we get people from the craziest places sometimes, and not all come from the same avenue, but we've gotten very good members through the Google business page that have been looking for Shaklee. And that's the advantage when you get somebody through Google, is that they find you because they are specifically looking for someone who can help them with Shaklee, and they haven't been able to find someone. So it's a different group of people. You may not get as many, but when you get them, they are ready to purchase. So that's why I think it'll be helpful when we talk about that, and Jack will be able to help us with that, I'm sure. But for today, that's it. Any other questions from anybody? Okay, awesome. Then if you have any questions, or if you're wanting to discuss goals, reach out. The other thing to keep in mind for everyone, and I'm reminding myself at the same time, if you haven't done it yet, please, I encourage you to work on your affirmations. If you already have your affirmations done, I encourage you to be diligently writing them out every day. It really helps change your mindset. I can tell the days when I have not done my affirmations first thing in the morning. It doesn't take long, 10 minutes, but those 10 minutes can set the pace for the rest of your day. Thank you for being on. I appreciate truly every single one of you, and look forward to seeing you guys next week again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait. Too late. We lost that. We should have taken a picture. Okay, next time. Or do we want to do it now, Maxi? Yes. Maxi, will you take one?
Okay. 1, 2, 3, cheese.
Thank
One more. Okay, we're good.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.